Nothing inside here. This also is God, and nothing inside but God. Then what you call mind is God, consciousness God, person God, just God. If this attitude is instilled inside, and what can go wrong? What can go wrong if such an attitude is instilled inside? Nothing can go wrong. Right and wrong and so on. You've left that field, that realm, will you leave behind. It will not be significant. You know. Even you're not thinking at first. We have to think God. Then you feel God, and then there's no separation between thinking, feeling, being, God. It's just somehow it's there. It's nothing new, but it will be experienced through the former conditioned mind will slowly be evaporating, And that space, that empty space, is not empty like, if I say this is empty. This is not a bad way, this space empty. But it's not a dead empty, It's not a kind of just physically empty. It is pure intelligence, but more than intelligence, more than the usual human intellect or intelligence. It's indefinable, and no language has ever been able to convey, however sweet and lyrical and poetic their languages are, they cannot convey the profundity, the beauty, the subtlety, the power, the grace. These words don't do it. On every level, the inner, what I call the inner or the higher realm or states of consciousness. They are worlds within themselves, and at a phenomenal level, even at the phenomenal level, the phenomena is a higher grade than we perceive through the human intellect. It's a higher grade, much more refined, more beautiful, unimaginably beautiful. How does one's consciousness somehow absorb this thing? I only can say that follow the simple guidance. There's not a lot of things to learn. Don't go the path of studying. It's useless. Go to the path of dissolution, of just surrendering at the feet of God and say, I'm here. Keep abandoning yourself. Just abandon yourself, you see. Don't have ambitions in the world, although your activities will continue according to whatever your dynamic destiny is. You will find yourself doing things. Your orientation will be in line with your dynamic destiny. That's functioning. That's fine. But inwardly, you will not have the sense that anything is happening to you. It's exquisite. In fact, it's exquisite. Activity yet no activity. And this yin and yang, this seeming interplay between what is and what is not, or what is moving and what is still, and so on. And it is not, to describe it as a movement is not right, but it's not like being in one zone. And yet it is like the only zone, zoneless zone. All the other things are just sort of like the dust that flies about in the air. They come and go. It is so, I don't know if it's have any value to talk about these things, but just if there's a purpose, it's only to inspire the mind to not give so much attention to transient expressions. It's okay, they're okay. And you maybe watch the functioning of the daily life taking place, but nothing to report, nothing to write on a postcard about. the inner, the behind the scenes behind the facade of the person into the realm of God. A life can be like that. A life can be like that. Beautiful.
Mooji, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
It was when you were talking about surrender. Sometimes when there's very, very strong emotion that comes, and it just feels like a lot is coming out, and it's clear that it's all old or new personal stuff. It's all very personal and only to do with identification. Sometimes it feels very. Sometimes the mind plays inquiry, like, and that one feels very smelly. And these sorts of thoughts, can they just be seen as just thoughts, and just to go completely into as much surrender as you can?
Surrender is something immediate. It's not a ritual, It is just somehow. It's almost comes down to dropping things, like unplugging from that way of looking, and just offering up. It really is abandoning your own private research in a way, because you know that it's futile, or you know that it's just using the mind, and inviting in, the light of grace, and trusting in that. That is a surrender, Because if you say that your inquiry becomes a bit mechanical or mental, because you see it's just going through the motions, like, who is feeling this and so on. But your heart...
Not always, only in intent.
Yeah. No, but that's what you brought up, that sometimes it's like that.
Yes.
And you catch it out. So you simply stay in the place where you can observe that, where you're observing this. But don't give so much power to the observing. Don't give so much noise or so much importance to that. More than that is just to stay in the place of silence, in the silence. Not as a hideout or as an escape, but just because you bring yourself back to emptiness, which is your natural abode, your natural environment, the natural atmosphere for the mind is to be in a state of emptiness, you see. Rather than figuring out things, give them a kind of reality very often that does not really have, it's not there. And just like clouds, it's like trying to study a cloud, you won't be doing that tomorrow, it's gone. And if you're doing it tomorrow, which is what we're doing, talking about a cloud that was last week, I feel that this is much less important, because people believe in these things and they think that it's important to keep a history case of them. But in the natural mind, they don't exist even while they were expressing. It's not that I say you're thinking, look at this, and no, it's even because it doesn't say it should not be there. You see, when you have that attitude that a thing should not be there, no, they don't have an attitude it should not be there. It appears and arises like anything else. And because there's that permission, that openness, nothing sticks and nothing seems so important. When you start to try and capture life in a particular projection, and it gets disrupted, then you're creating the environment for the mind to come in and to, as the journalist and as the autopsy report and as the speculator, and then you create a type of environment which becomes very noisy. So I'd rather just say stay as a self. Just keep quiet, to stay in the being. It's not so important, Most of the stuff that we are concerned with, they're not important. We believe them to be important. We give them the juice of our attention, which means that they become important for us. And then when we can't bear our own stuffiness, we spit it out, we vomit it out in the world very often. We try and push people into positions that's not natural for them to, it's like it just becomes a mess. Just keep quiet and learn to keep quiet and to recognize and value your own stillness, your own silence, as being infinitely more truthful than trying to dig holes in your mind, which it will be happy to do, because it's just like I say, it appears that sometimes our mental identity keeps throwing stones in the bush to get you away from the true recognition, to distract your attention.
And it always knows the ones to get Me.
While you're a
Yeah,
person,
yeah,
if you're a person, then of course the mind knows the ones to get. When you're nobody, what is there to get? What is the button to press? I mean, there are still some residual impressions or something like this that may have a little bit of juice in them or something like that, but it's not sufficient to trip you up, you know? You always will stay in you always have a move. You'll always be able to stay in emptiness. You'll always be able to see through the scams and the schemes of your psychological conditioning. You know? You move in a state of inwardly of just staying, recognizing the emptiness, and just enjoy your emptiness. Just enjoy your emptiness. Don't turn it into a job. Just enjoy it, recognize it, and if there's something to value, value that, the peace that arises out of that emptiness, and just move in that, move in this, and your mind will not be able to trouble you. It will try every trick, it will not be able to trip you up. You're far too happy to miserable with a mind, totality. And things just, they say like water off a duck's back. A good expression. The things that don't stick, they don't go into your feathers, you know. The water of the world doesn't go through your feathers. You see? Like the duck. You don't have to be like a duck. The angel has wings as well, like angel wings. The water doesn't penetrate them. The waters of life. You don't say, oh, the duck or the angel. They don't say, listen, don't like rain. No, it doesn't matter at all, you know. These beings are also, they're weatherproof. So you live and many people will not be ready to accept what I'm speaking because it just seems too simplistic and they believe too much into their problems. They believe them to be real, and so they're looking for real solutions. So it won't be easy for them to really embrace the simplicity of my guidance, actually. Of course, many do, and they immediately can testify to the immediacy of the fruits of that seeing. It's not something you're saving up to experience in another 10 months, you know. As you turn your attention within, even in the now, in the moment, it's already yielding the fruit of peace and clarity and like this. So.
He walks the street just like you and me, in his white robe